I, amongst many other Doctor Who fans, and basically anybody who's been keeping anything resembling just a tertiary eye on the media and TV industry for the past 70 years, woke up to the horrible news that Bernard Cribbins, actor, comedian, singer, children's entertainer, media personality, had passed away at the age of 93. Now, Bernard Cribbins is a man who I predominantly know through Doctor Who. However, even if he had never set foot in that silly, strange universe, his career, his legacy in the UK media industry would have been absolutely solidified, and honestly, there's absolutely no obituary, no basic write-up or summation of his career that would even come close to doing the man's career justice over the span of 70 years. The man was working in theatre from the age of 14, and he's been rarely out of work ever since. It is very possible that some people just know him as a Cockney singer from Right Said Fred or Hole in the Ground, or known from his media appearances in Nevermind the Buzzcocks or Have I Got News for You.
Kaylee's favourite bra fetched a staggering £6,000 on eBay.
You want to see it?
Well, I heard...
Or his role in children's media, whether it be on the big screen with the Railway Children or the small screen with Old Jack's Boat just 10 years ago. The Carry On films, Fawlty Towers, Jack and Nori. Dude's been around, a massive career over the past 70 years.
I'm not a violent man, Mr. Fawlty. Yes, you are. Oh, no, I'm not.
But what I'm mainly going to be talking about today is Bernard Cribbins' incredible impact on Doctor Who and his really interesting story with the wider universe. Of course, all Doctor Who fans know Bernard Cribbins as Wilfred Mott, who appeared in the Series 3 Christmas special onwards as Donna Noble's grandfather. But his Doctor Who story actually started way earlier, in fact around 40 years earlier, where Bernard Cribbins played Tom Campbell in the Peter Cushing Dalek movie Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, where Bernard Cribbins plays a police officer who was unable to stop a bank robbery and goes inside a police public call box only to find that it's the TARDIS, and then he's whisked away into the future.
Aided by Bernard Cribbins, a reluctant traveller into the dangerous future.
And in the post-apocalyptic future London, Tom helps Doctor Who, his niece Louise and granddaughter Susan stop the Daleks. Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD is, by all intents and purposes, a family-pleasing blockbuster. It's got spectacle, it's an epic story that delves into some pretty dark subject matter, but it also has moments of brilliant levity, and Bernard Cribbins was predominantly the reason behind that levity. I remember watching that film on TV during bank holidays, and the scenes where Bernard Cribbins is trying to disguise himself as a Robo-Man, and the physical comedy he exuded in those scenes was second to none. So funny, so crowd-pleasing, and I'm hearing wonderful stories of the recent BFI screening of 2150 AD that even all these years later, nearly 60 years later, audiences were still having a rip-roaring time with that film and predominantly his character. Now fast forward 40 years later, and Bernard Cribbins is cast in what was at the time just a one-off role as a newspaper salesman in London in the Christmas special from 2007, Voyage of the Damned.
May God bless her. We stand vigil.
He's a fun, patriotic guy. Admittedly, it's stunt casting, but it's still a fun and memorable role.
Don't you dare, Uranians! Don't you dare!
But at the time, he was not meant to be related to Donna Noble or have any other connection to the wider Doctor Who universe. It was actually quite a tragic series of events that led to him reprising the role in Series 4. You see, when we first met Donna Noble in the previous year's Christmas special, The Runaway Bride, we met Donna Noble at a wedding, so it stands to reason that we meet a lot of Donna Noble's family. And at that wedding, we briefly meet Geoffrey Noble, played by Howard Atfield, and Howard was meant to reprise his role as Donna's father for Series 4 and basically take on the same role. He even filmed some scenes with Catherine Tate for Partners in Crime, the Series 4 opener. These scenes you can actually still watch on the Series 4 DVD and Blu-ray releases. However, Howard Atfield's health was deteriorating, and during production he passed away. So they refilmed the scenes and brought in Bernard Cribbins instead to play Donna Noble's grandfather.
Well, I've got Venus with an apparent magnitude of minus 3.5. At least that's what it says in my book.
Yeah, I've got Venus. Yeah, with an apparent magnitude of minus 3.5 at least. That's what it says in my little book.
You just seem to be drifting, sweetheart.
You seem to be drifting, sweetheart.
Donna! Donna, it's the flying blue box!
Donna, it's the flying blue box!
Go get him! The flying blue box!
That's it! That's it! Yeah! That's it!
And they said that he had Spanish flu, which is why he wasn't at the wedding of the runaway bride.
It's the man from the wedding, when you were laid up with Spanish flu.
And Russell T Davies, the malleable writer that he was able to further emphasise the connection between the Doctor and Donna and the universe, bringing them together by saying, actually, I met your grandfather on this random adventure on Christmas a few years ago.
I met you once, and I met your grandfather, and I met you again.
And it's through that series of events that an iconic character was born, an incredible companion for the Doctor in some cases. It depends on how you categorise him though, but as far as I'm concerned, he's a companion. He's the supportive grandfather of Donna Noble, a character who's trying to improve herself, who's trying to find her own self-worth in this universe. And Wilfred is pushing her and is actively encouraging her adventures in time and space. He was a far cry from characters like Jackie Tyler or Francine Jones, who were slapping the Doctor and saying, keep away from my daughter, stitch this mate, whilst Wilfred was saying, no, you go and find that man in the blue box, that's my girl. A man who had an interest and a fascination in the stars with his telescope even before he knew about the possibilities of time and space. What worked about Wilf as a character, and also Bernard Cribbins' incredible performance as him, was that he was a really funny, down-to-earth guy.
It's them aliens, I'll bet my pension. What do you want this time, you green swine?
A guy who's looking at his telescope and he's just looking in the wrong direction when the adipose spaceship arrives in Partners in Crime. Who's not allowed to get a webcam for his computer at home because his daughter Sylvia says they're naughty.
Have you got a webcam?
No, she wouldn't let me. She said they're naughty.
Who, when the Earth gets towed back at the end of Journey's End, is celebrating in his living room and headers a little ball. It's really fun. And when the Daleks have moved Earth across space, he goes out in his winter gear with a paintball gun to try and blind the eye stalk. An idea that, according to Russell T Davies in The Writer's Tale, was Bernard Cribbins' idea. It was lovely to see him have such agency over the character and have these really fun suggestions, and Russell T Davies was like, yeah, we'll add that in. We'll make the paintball gun ineffective, but we'll add it in. So you had these moments of brilliant, sincere, laugh-out-loud comedy. But what transpired over the course of his series and a half as a recurring character was a really incredible dramatic performance at the heart of it. And this is exemplified in the penultimate Series 4 story, Turn Left, where we see what happens if Donna never met the Doctor dies, and then the Earth is just befallen with all of these tragedies because he wasn't there to save them. And Wilf is trying to see his family through with wartime spirit. He's having sing-songs and shanties with the Italian neighbours.
I'm just a poor boy, nobody man.
But the reason the audience know that everything has gotten so dire in that story is when Wilf breaks, and the Italian family who have moved in with them are being taken away, apparently being taken away to labour camps, to which Wilf tearfully observes,
Labour camps. That's what they called them last time. It's happening again.
And of course the ending of Journey's End, where Sylvia and Wilf are the only people who are going to know what Donna was actually like when travelling with the Doctor, and Wilf says, but she was better with you. And at the end of the story, at the end of the series, Wilf has lost the granddaughter who shared his interest in the stars. And he waves a lonely Doctor away with a salute at the doorway in the rain. And this is not the last time that we see Wilfred. He appears in The End of Time Part 1 and Part 2. Where he's been having nightmares. He goes to a church, he's seeing these visions of who is theorised to be the Doctor's mother from Gallifrey. And for this story, Wilf does become the surrogate companion. He travels in the TARDIS briefly.
Do you like it?
I thought it'd be cleaner.
Cleaner?
And at the beginning of the story, he is still mourning his granddaughter, the rueful fate of Donna Noble. And what I love about Wilf in this story, apart from just the astonishing performances, like David Tennant is acting at the top of his game in this whole two-parter, and Bernard Cribbins is matching him scene for scene, blow for blow. The two are incredible.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and you.
Look at
And you get these wonderful sentimental exchanges where Wilfred says to the Master, yeah, I would be proud of the Doctor if he was my son.
Your dad's still kicking up a fuss.
Yeah, well, I'd be proud if I was.
And then a few scenes later, the Doctor pays that off.
I'd be proud
Of what?
if you were my dad.
Basically, the end of time doesn't work without Wilf. You need a character who represents the best of humanity, somebody who understands the importance of going to war to fight for your country, but also understanding that not killing anybody is not a sign of weakness.
You're an old soldier, sir. You never killed a man.
Don't say that like it's shameful.
Which is mirrored at the end with the Doctor deciding not to kill Rassilon or the Master. He's given a view of the Earth, and one of the first things he thinks of is that his wife's buried down there, and maybe the Master has changed her appearance as well in her grave. The Doctor, after everything he's been through over the past series, needs that good influence, he needs that good anchor. However, Wilf is not just a pushover, he is somebody who will give the Doctor a firm hand if necessary.
And don't you dare, sir, don't you dare put him before them.
Urging him to take his service revolver, not because he wants to kill the Master, but because he doesn't want the Doctor to die.
Please don't die, you're the most wonderful man, and I don't want you to die.
And in one of the most underrated moments of the story, when the Doctor has jumped out of the Vinvoce spaceship, Wilf commands the pilots to turn around and drop him off, because he's not leaving him on his own.
I am not leaving that man on his own, not today!
And then Wilf goes to the Naismith mansion. There's bedlam, there's pandemonium. Gallifrey is starting to make its way into Earth's orbit. And the first thing that Wilf does when he gets into the room is that he sees this man trapped in this isolation chamber, so he lets him out. An incredibly selfless act, but it is the moment the Doctor dies. And then once the day is saved, the 10th Doctor thinks he's going to survive this, Wilf knocks on the glass. He was the Fornox that was prophesized to kill this incarnation of the Doctor.
They gone then? Yeah, good-o.
And the 10th Doctor, he grandstands. He tries to rage and rage at the dying of the light, knowing full well that he's going to save Wilf. Because in that story, the Time Lords wanted eternal life. They were going to destroy humanity in order to get an incorporeal existence, to be free of their bodies and to rise above mortal concerns.
We will ascend to become creatures of consciousness alone.
And if the Doctor decides, no, I'm going to leave Wilf in that chamber to die, I'm no better than them.
Oh, lived too long.
Now, I understand that this is just me doing a bit of a character retrospective, but with all of this going on character-wise and thematically, and the emotions are so heightened, and Bernard Cribbins, like, we've seen him in panel shows, we've seen him in children's entertainments, like, we had no idea that he had this in him, like these dramatic chops, but he effortlessly, or at least he makes it look effortless, he's able to make this credible, and match David Tennant giving the performance of his life, and in his closing scene when the 10th Doctor about to die has given the Noble family that winning lottery ticket by borrowing £1 in the past from Geoffrey Noble, and as Wilfred Mott watches the 10th Doctor walk away to his death through the pink tree blossoms, he gives him a salute and blows him a kiss goodbye. Now, in a way, we are a bit fortunate that Bernard Cribbins has been confirmed to be returning for the upcoming 60th anniversary. David Tennant, Catherine Tate and Bernard Cribbins were all seen filming in Camden, and Yasmin Finney is confirmed to be playing a character called Rose, who is Donna's daughter, so Wilfred's great-granddaughter. And with Yasmin Finney having wrapped filming a couple of weeks ago, it maybe stands to reason that Bernard Cribbins had also wrapped filming as well. But even putting that aside, Bernard Cribbins did return to the role as Wilf for Big Finish for this first story in the 10th Doctor Adventures Series 3. Because as is the case with Doctor Who, the song may be over, but the story never ends. Bernard Cribbins has left an incredible legacy in the world of Doctor Who through just those 9 episodes and counting if he's in the 60th anniversary. As a fan favourite companion of the Doctor, both on the big screen and on the small screen. And I'll give the last word here to Russell T Davies, who wrote this really affectionate tribute to Bernard Cribbins on his Instagram page. This image here of him in the brick wall is him as Snout in the 2016 Midsummer Night's Dream production that was written by Russell T Davies. He loved being in Doctor Who. He said, "Children are calling me Grandad in the street." His first day was on location with Kylie Minogue, but all eyes, even Kylie's, were on Bernard. He turned up with a suitcase full of props just in case, including a rubber chicken, and what an actor. Oh really though, what a wonderful actor. We once took him to the TV Choice Awards and sent him up on his own to collect the award, and the entire room stood up and cheered. That's a lovely memory. He'd phone up and say, "I've got an idea, what if I attacked a Dalek with a paintball gun?" Okay Bernard, in it went. He loved Jill with all his heart. That's Gillian McBarnett, Bernard Cribbins' late wife who passed away last year. He mentioned her in every conversation we ever had. A love story for the ages. I'm so lucky to have known him. Thanks for everything, my old soldier. A legend has left the world. Rest in peace to Bernard Cribbins, who passed away at the age of 93.
But every night, when it gets dark and the stars come out, I'll look up. On her behalf, I'll look up at the sky and think of you.